Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Pollyanna. Chapter 12, Dr. Chilton. What we have here? Calf's foot jelly, said Dr. Chilton, opening the door to Mr. Pendleton's house. Would you like to see the patient? Your cheerful face would help him more than a bottle of medicine. Pollyanna followed the doctor down a long hallway to Mr. Pendleton's room. The big, mysterious house was no longer empty except for its owner. Not only was Dr. Chilton there, but a woman was in the kitchen cooking, and another woman was dusting the furniture, and a nurse stood by with some medicines. Here's a visitor for you, Dr. Chilton announced. The man in bed frowned. Hello, sir. I brought you some calf's foot jelly. I hope you like it, said Pollyanna. Never ate any of that stuff. Well, in that case, you can't know if you like it, so I reckon I'm glad I brought it for you to try. What does it matter if I'm flat on my back and likely to stay in bed till doomsday? Oh, no, Mr. Pendleton, not until doomsday. That's a very long time away. I know the Bible says it will come quicker than you think, but I don't really think so. Mr. Pendleton laughed suddenly. Anyway, maybe we should be glad you only broke one leg instead of two, Pollyanna continued. Yes, if I was a centipede, an insect with 50 legs, I might have broken them all, he answered. That's right, said Pollyanna, clapping her hands. I think you're learning to play the game, sir. Who cares about games? Mr. Pendleton said crossly. Here I've got all these people in my way trying to clean up my house and cook my meals, and they want me to pay them good money. Oh, yes, the money, said Pollyanna, remembering her conversation with Nancy. Nancy told me you save all your money for the heathen. That's how I know you're good inside, even when you're mean on the inside. What on earth are you talking about, child? And who is Nancy? She works for Aunt Polly. And who, may I ask, is Aunt Polly? She's Miss Polly Harrington. I live with her. Mr. Pendleton turned as white as a ghost and sat upright, moaning in pain with the sudden movement of his broken leg. You live with her? She nodded. But you don't mean that she sent me the jelly? Oh, no, sir. She said I must be sure not to let you think she sent it, but... I thought so, he answered bitterly. His expression frightened Pollyanna. She decided it was time to leave. Outside, Dr. Chilton was waiting with his horse and carriage to drive her home. Thank you, she beamed. I just love to ride. Seems there's a lot of things you love to do, he responded. Oh, most of all, I love to live, said Pollyanna. All those other things I have to do, sewing, reading out loud, cooking, they're not really living. Aunt Polly says they're learning to live, but tell me, why do people have to learn to live? I'm afraid some of us have to, the doctor sighed. He appeared sad. Dr. Chilton, you must have the gladdest job in the world, said Pollyanna, trying to cheer him up. Gladys? I see so many suffering among my patients. But you're helping people, she insisted. That's something to be very glad about. Thomas Chilton regarded his work simply as a way to keep busy and escape from his lonely life. Now he thought about Pollyanna's words. Who was that man who drove you home? Asked Miss Polly as soon as her niece entered. That was Dr. Chilton. Don't you know him? Dr. Chilton? He came here? Miss Polly stiffened. Oh, and I told Mr. Pendleton that you didn't send him the jelly. A look of anger flashed over her aunt's face. You told him I didn't? That's what he told me to do, Aunt Polly. I told you not to let him think I did send it. That's not the same thing as telling him I didn't send it, she explained. But Pollyanna couldn't understand the difference. I also don't understand the difference. The little girl also couldn't understand why her aunt never tried to look pretty. She had beautiful black curly hair, but always wore it pinned back tightly. She also wore very plain clothes, never put on any jewelry or any other ornaments. Please, Aunt Polly, she begged one day, let me do your hair just like I did Mrs. Snow's. Just sit right down here in front of the dressing room table. Pollyanna, this is silly, her aunt began, but then she got a helpless feeling that this amazing child always gave her. Now, I want you to be sure to don't peek in the mirror yet, said Pollyanna after she arranged the curls. Before her aunt could protest, she tied a handkerchief around her eyes. Take this thing off me. What are you doing? Said Miss Polly frantically. Miss Polly slipped a white lace shawl around her aunt's shoulders. Then she picked up a red rose out of a nearby vase and put it gently in Miss Polly's hair. There, she exclaimed, removing the handkerchief. Instead of looking in the mirror, Miss Polly stared out the window and then ran out of the room, pulling the shawl off and tossing the flower from her hair. Flushed and angry, she demanded, How could you let this happen, Pollyanna? You dressed me up like this and then let me be seen. Pollyanna saw Dr. Chilton's carriage in the driveway. She hurried outside. Mr. Pendleton wants to see you, he said. Can you come? Yes, I reckon Aunt Polly would be glad to get rid of me. The doctor was surprised. Didn't I just see you with your aunt through the window? Yes, I fixed her hair. Don't you think she looked really pretty? Yes, she did look lovely. I'm so glad you agree. I can't wait to tell her. No, Pollyanna, don't do that. They drove the rest of the way in silence. And that's the end of that chapter. I'll see you later.